For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Heather Martinez. This is a special offering called Let Grief Speak. It's a series that I'm going to be working on. I don't know how long, but it's something that I would love to offer either quarterly or maybe even on a monthly basis in the future. I want to thank those of you who gave a little bit extra for us to be here today when you registered. That certainly helps me create some of the workbooks and some of the materials that I'll be making in the coming months. I'm so pleased that you've chosen to take a moment from the craze of the holidays to spend this time with me, with one another, with your hand, your breath, and your grief. Today, we'll invite grief to speak through our calligraphy as a form of meditation, gentle, spacious, and without pressure. So I just want to remind everyone that when we make space for grief, we allow ourselves to be shaped by the love that remains. When we give it a voice, we breathe life into what wants to emerge. And when we letter our grief, we stay present with the essence of the message that wants to be carried. If it gives you comfort, I invite you now to type in the chat what you're grieving today. And if you don't feel like doing that, that's totally fine. I just want to recognize for those of us who are grieving someone, I'm grieving my beloved Ray, my best friend and partner of 23 years. And I dedicate this session to him and my continued devotion to him. I'm sorry to hear about your husband's passing and your son, Daniel. And feel free to write their names if you want. Yes, sisters, friends. Yeah. There are a lot of people that are leaving us now. I'm sorry to see that your husband passed to cancer. Now, while my grief, my lived experience of grief has been losing my husband, Ray, you may be experiencing a different kind of grief. For me, grief is love that has nowhere to go. And I recognize that not all grief is like this. Sometimes a loss is that of a job, a dream, a distant loved one, a pet, or someone you've had a complex relationship with. I understand that grief can be nuanced, even complicated. And you may be here for any one of these or many other different reasons. All are welcome here. Your grief belongs. I'm sorry to see Godfrey go and the passing of your mom and dad and a close friend. Yeah. This is a hard time, especially during the holidays. So thank you for having the courage for logging in and being here. And before we begin, I just want to remind all of you to have a couple of things on hand, something to write with. I'm going to be writing with my pencil, a little reporter notebook, and I'll have some markers a little bit later on. I also have a candle with me today, which I will light. And this lighting of the candle is going to symbolize our shared intention to bring a gentle life to grief, to listen without rushing, and to honor what wants to be heard. And I invite you all, whether you have a candle or some kind of a touchstone, something that you can hold as an intention for this session. And I just want to wish that our hands move with the rhythm of what matters most. And may these words that rise up reveal not just our grief, but the love and the meaning that still resides within us. So now is a great time to call on any support you may need, be that your muse, your loved ones who have crossed over, spirit guides, angels, gods, or the divine. Whatever your belief or practice, bring it into your space and into this time. I'd like us to start out with a 5 senses grounding exercise. Sometimes we forget to breathe into our body. We forget that we're in bodies when we're in our head or emotional. So I'd like you to take a moment to arrive fully here, now. We'll gently explore our 5 senses to ground ourselves into the present. There's no need to rush. What I'm going to ask you is to simply notice. Notice one thing you can see in front of you right now. Maybe a light through the window, or the texture of your paper, or the pen or the pencil in your hand. And then I'd like you to listen carefully to 1 or 2 sounds around you. Are there distant birds outside? A clock ticking? Can you hear your own breath? And then I'd like you to feel the contact of your body with your chair and then the chair onto the floor. Notice the sensation, your feet on the ground and your hands resting in front of you. And then smell. Take a gentle sniff. Is there a scent in your space? Perhaps the paper, a candle, or just the air. And then notice if there's a taste in your mouth right now. Maybe it's neutral or subtle, or maybe you just had a drink of coffee or something to eat. And then I'd like you to just take one slow, full breath and feel your body soften as you exhale. When you're ready, bring your attention gently back to this space and carry this calm awareness that you've just brought forth with you. And we'll tell you that we'll go through 2 prompts and we will write for 3 minutes each. And then we'll take 2 minutes to look at what we wrote. So there's no editing in that 3 minutes. That first 3 minutes, we're just going to free write. And then for 2 minutes, we're going to reflect on what we wrote and see what stood out. And for a minute, we're going to just look at what did stand out if you highlighted it or circle it, and then we're going to write it again. So that's just an overview. I call it a 3-2-1 exercise. But right now, I just want you for 3 minutes to be thinking about this very first prompt. And I will read it off to you, and I will also put it in the chat. So what I'd like to do is make this just a little bit more physical as you're thinking about the person that you're grieving. I'd love for you to hold yourself and your missed loved one in light of this holiday season. And I'd like you to start by putting your right hand under your arm, like in your armpit, and your left hand on your right arm, and give yourself a nice squeeze. This is like a hug, but this gives us this sense of, okay, I'm here, I'm in my body. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and write. Here we go. So the very first question, the prompt that I'm going to put, and I will read this to you, but I'm also going to put it in the chat in case you forget. Reflecting on these holiday days, busy, tender, hollow, etc., what feels slightly spacious, comforting, or true? I want you to notice what's happening around you, maybe in your space, and what can this moment reveal about what is steadying you. I'm really asking you to stay in this grounded place. And I'll set the timer in just a second, but I just want to remind you that if you don't know what to write, just write the words quiet moments. And the reason why I say that is if you ever get stuck and you're just not quite sure what to write, just choose a few words in the theme and just write it over and over and over. And it just gets the ink flowing, it gets the pencil moving, and then you can start to actually come up with some words, letting new words find their way onto the page. Let your hand describe what happens when you reflect on quiet moments during the holidays, not to dwell in the loss, but to name what is meaningful and what comes up for you. And whatever comes up is welcome here. So we're going to start with the 3 minutes. Reflecting on these holiday days, busy, tender, hollow, etc., what feels slightly spacious, comforting, or true for you? Notice what's happening around you and what can this moment reveal about what still steadies you. We're just using our handwriting at this point. Later on, we'll turn these into beautiful letters. Okay, so that's our first 3 minutes. I like to limit the first free write, or actually both of these free writes, to 3 minutes to get into the writing process and to keep myself from ruminating. If I find myself ruminating, I pause, breathe, sometimes even hum, and gently begin again. And so we'll come back to what we've written. I want to go to the next prompt. So we'll take another 3 minutes and we'll write this next prompt. We'll come back to this and look at it in just a moment. Now I want to look a little bit deeper inside of our grief. Beneath the ache is something really strong. And grief is the evidence of something good, something valuable, and something worth remembering. We're not bypassing the pain. We're not diving into it necessarily. We're just listening for the meaning inside of it. So I'd like you to take a moment to tune into your heart. You can place your left hand over your heart if you'd like. Notice any sensations you might feel. Maybe you feel the breath, the rise and the fall of your chest, your heart beating. And if you want, you can put your other hand under your belly button in your sacral area and breathe deep in your belly. Bring out your stomach as you breathe in and bring that breath up into your heart. And if you can, pause. Doing so will increase the energy in this area. Take a few nice big belly breaths and bring that energy up into your heart. And imagine it expanding as you breathe out slowly and ease for, and maybe even blow out longer than you breathed in, expelling as much air out of your lungs as comfortably possible. Doing so lowers your heart rate and brings attention to your heart. And if you really expel a little bit longer than you inhaled, then you'll notice how the breath will automatically breathe back in. Okay. So with this next prompt, we just want to remember that holidays can really sharpen the absence. Yet love and grief insists on finding new ways to reach us, which in fact shapes us. So how is the love you shared with your loved one showing up now, today, through a memory, a ritual, a feeling in your body, or an unexpected gesture? What small way might you honor that presence in this season? So again, just write freely. Don't try to edit. You're welcome to be poetic if you want, but please don't force it. And whatever wants to speak will land on the page. So I'll set the timer again for 3 minutes. How is the love you shared showing up now? And again, if you're not sure what to write, just write love, love, love showing up now. Go ahead and wrap up whatever you were writing. And now take 2 minutes and look over what you wrote previously and circle, underline, or highlight anything that really stands out, anything that you want to bring forward. Go ahead and start that timer. We'll just so we have 2 minutes. Quickly read through and distill down what stood out. Might be a word, it might be a phrase, a whole sentence. Okay. Now, after you've kind of highlighted or circled a couple of things, take a minute to rewrite them. And again, this doesn't have to look great. You're just rewriting them. Maybe you want to change them slightly, refine them, change the verb or tense or something like that. But just write out again, and then we'll talk about layout in just a minute. But you just want to pull out what stuck out to you. Might have just been one thing or several things. I'll start the timer. Okay. I noticed in what I had written a lot about presence and protection and being with me. I don't know what you all have written, but I'm just going to pull that out so that I have it, but you can do whatever you'd like. Just have that, set that aside for just a moment. And I'd like to do a quick brush lettering demo. You can certainly use any tool that you like, but I just want to show a quick demo. You can letter along with me or just watch. I'm going to be using actually black paper because I use a lot of dark colors in the winter. And I celebrate the solstice. And so, as many of you know, yesterday was the solstice. And we had a very long night here in Scotland, 17 hours actually. And so I'm going to take out some metallics and some white markers from Neuland. If you're not familiar with that product, these are markers that professional visual practitioners use, but they often don't use metallics and whites. That's a pretty rare thing. So this is more for the lettering artists and the artists that want that type of product. So I'm just going to start out with a couple of these small round nibs, and then I'll get to some brush lettering. Actually, no, I'll just do brush lettering. And yeah, so these markers, this is called a twin one. So it has a chisel on one end, and then it has a brush on the other. So that's what I'm going to be using. And I like to practice my lowercase first, and then I'll show you some uppercase, but we tend to write lowercase the most. So, and I'm not doing this with any type of, no lines on this. So I'm probably going to rotate my letters and do all kinds of things here. And this isn't going to be a brush lettering script. This is more like my handwriting. And so it's going to be based in italic, but pretty simple. Now, when I am using a brush marker, just want to quickly show you a couple of things. With the brush marker, I'm mainly using the side of the brush. That's where I'm putting the most pressure, and very little pressure on the tip. And every time I pick up, especially a brush marker, or any tool really, but the brush marker, I want to make sure that I test it so that I know how much ink is in that, and also what's the quality or the condition of the nib. And so I'll hold my marker as flat as I can to the surface of the page. Zoom in there. And this is where, if I'm really, really flat, I can add the most amount of pressure, and that's going to give me the broadest line. And then I can bring it up just slightly a bit, lessen the pressure, and again. And then if I want the thinnest line, I'm going to point the marker down and drag up. And so here, all of these marks were made going down, and this one was made going up. And so I like to do the thick down, thin up as whenever I'm doing brush lettering, whether it's a script or if I'm doing any type of even print at all. Thin up. Okay, so that's essentially the rule: thick down, thin up. And now I'm just going to write some very simple letters using italic. And this is Neuland's. They have several metallic colors, but this one is their green. And so holding my marker up and to the left if I'm right-handed, and down and to the right if I'm left-handed, I'm going to write my letters, thick downs, thin ups. Sometimes you can even add a little serif. Sometimes I like to finish my letters like the C and the E. I'll go back over where I've written. I'll give you a variation on the G. Whenever I finish the G down here, sometimes I finish it like that. Other times I like to make a two-story G. Sometimes we can put a little bit of a swoosh coming up if we want. This is just a nice warm-up. If you're not following along with me, that's fine. You're welcome to do whatever you want, just to warm up. Okay. Thought I was going to need another piece of paper, but I don't think I do. Now for the uppercase. These are entirely italic. Now I feel like I'm just writing I'm just writing with my regular handwriting. Maybe it's between italic and Roman hand in my handwriting. You can pull from whatever lettering style you like. Amity Parks once told me that whenever you learn a new lettering style, it improves all of your other lettering styles because you're so focused on the form that you start comparing what you're writing to everything else that you know. I like that. If you want, I'll go ahead and write a ampersand here. If you want to see me write an ampersand, the and symbol. It's usually about 3/4 the size of your other letters. Notice how I'm changing the angle as I write it. Okay. So it's just this I'm going to use as my guide. I always tell my students it's important to create your own exemplar from time to time because it tells you how you're writing. So it's just a great way to see where you are, sort of a new baseline for yourself. And now if you want to get a nicer piece of paper, or this could still be layout time if you want, I'm just going to be looking at some of my words, some of the words that you have here, and think about what would you like to write? And I might want to write a few of these things just as a reminder. You don't have to make a masterpiece. I'm going to go with blue now. You don't have to make a masterpiece. You can make several pieces or just one. It's totally up to you. Because I want my piece to stand out, I might do that in more of a script and then the other words in something else. But this is a great time for you to go ahead and if you need to do some layout, you can, or just wing it. It's totally up to you. I'm going to wing this for me because I'm working on black paper. And you can work large, you can work small. This might be something you want to hang in your house or have near you, maybe in your bedroom. Or you can work teeny tiny and carry it with you, put it in your pocket if you want. I think I might do that for the next one. I really like rolling up pieces of paper, so I'll probably roll this up and stick it in my pocket. So that way, whenever I'm out and about around other people, I can put my hand in my pocket. And since it says I can feel your presence, that's something that just reminds me of Ray. It's like, oh, you're right here with me in my pocket. I can feel you. Just having small reminders like that, I think are nice. Ooh, this one's I bring you with me. When I roll up my, when I roll, I usually take the paper and just start to bend it, kind of give it some new memory. You give it a little bit of a curl. Some people like to put it on the edge of a table and pull on it. Sometimes I don't know if my ink is going to be too wet or if it's going to smear it. So I just like very lightly bend it and remind it that it can take a new shape if it wants. And then when I go to roll it up, I might roll it one way and then roll it the other way a couple of times just to go a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter. And sometimes I'll even put a little piece of washi tape on it if I want it to stay the way it is, and then carry it with me, or maybe put it somewhere so that when I see it on an altar or next to the door, next to my keys, or near my bed, I'll know what's in that paper. It's my secret to him. All right. Just a few things here. I tend to really like to do the free writing because it helps me come up with words without being too thinky. I can be a little bit more feely about it. I'd love to know, does this process resonate with you? Is it helpful? Is it something you can keep doing again and again? I know I can. Yeah. And if you'd like, um, I would say if you feel brave and you don't have to, feel free to type in the chat what you might have written if you want. You don't have to, but I just want to give people a space for their words if they'd like to share. Let's allow this safe space to be a place to witness the courage of giving grief a voice so we can carry our grief together. So if you'd like to, feel free to type that in the chat. Nice. Allow myself to grieve. Yeah. And whatever that looks like. Cherish the moment. Good. I'm glad it's inviting you back to your ink and pens. Yeah. 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 Seeing what you feel in words can be very helpful. It's almost like a lot of people want to ask me how I'm doing. And sometimes doing this exercise gives me the words to tell them, right? So when someone says, "How are you doing today?" Well, I just have peace in knowing that he's still here with me. I mean, I just wrote it down, right? I feel like he's protecting me. I mean, say those words if you feel so brave to. Yeah, spirit, we rest in your presence. Oh, it's beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, he is missing from me. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't all have to be positive, but it's all beautiful and it's truth. Yeah. Good. Now I'd like us to take a soft close, and if you want to return, a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly. Take another slow belly breath. Inhale and exhale. And I invite you to keep breathing through the holidays. If you have to check out every once in a while, I love it when there's a lot of people in the room and oh, I got to step outside. It's too warm in here. Even if I'm cold, I just do that a lot. Um, but take plenty of breaths. If you're interested in learning more about breathing, I personally am currently working on getting my certification in what's called the root to heart breath. It's a breath that my death doula taught me shortly after Ray's passing, and it's helped me through my grieving process. There's something about expelling air that is really, in some ways, detoxifying, but it's also allows a lot of what's going on inside of us, our emotions, it can carry through our breath. And so I will be offering a group session like this, a free session in February, and I'll be sure to put that in the follow-up email to everyone. But it's helped me ground myself into my body, and I've noticed that it's really helped me with my calligraphy. So I want to thank all of you for letting your hand carry what often spoken words can't. And maybe these will help give you some spoken words to talk about the people that you've lost. And I know I am certainly going to keep saying Ray's name as family gathers. And just remember that even a single word drawn with care and presence gives grief a shape and a voice. So I look forward to lettering with all of you again in this space or in other spaces, and hopefully our hearts and our letters will keep connecting. Oh, thank you. Yeah. And you can take it as far as you want or keep it as light as you want. So thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that you're feeling better. Yeah. Stronger and gratitude. Thank you, everyone.